Thank you, thank you. And I'm happy to take questions if that's what I'm supposed to do, Nance, whatever you want me to do.
Nothing to see here, just the President of the United States being arbitrarily cut off from not doing a press conference, which he hasn't done since becoming President of the United States. Nothing strange to see here. Nothing at all. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Okradowski of WeAreChange.org. Lots of crazy news to get into today, especially coming from, of course, the World Economic Forum, saying something that we've been warning about for years, and that is that lockdowns are good for the environment, and according to The Guardian, they should stay because they're needed to meet the Paris CO2 goals. Yeah, lots to unpack there. Lots of previous news surrounding this particular announcement that, of course, is important to highlight that you probably won't get in many other places. That, plus the massive militarization of the state, as we have a president that's described as not there and hiding Biden, highlights how we're in trouble. That's just one easy way of saying it. Now, I do have to say, it should be peculiar to everyone watching, and not from everyone paying attention. If you're paying attention, you pretty much know what's going on here. But it should be peculiar to everyone that Joe Biden still has not held a press conference after 43 days in office. His staff cuts him off from even getting potentially asked any questions by journalists. CNN even wrote an opinion piece that was titled, "Get Over It. The media isn't going to give Joe Biden a free ride," as he's been described by many as hiding Biden. With another opinion piece by Fox News with the byline that reads, "He's like the opposite of the Energizer Bunny. He hides out. It's his leftist policies that keep on going." And as Joe Biden is ducking the media left and right, juking and jiving them, as he did when he was running to be president of the United States, hiding questions about what he's doing, his policies are, of course, moving forward very rapidly. Of course, going after cultural icons like Dr. Seuss, which is absolutely ridiculous. A larger policy that, of course, is being followed up by many institutions, with many public libraries announcing that they, of course, will be pulling Dr. Seuss's books off of shelves. Some of them are refusing to do so, as, of course, eBay is also now removing listings of, quote, offensive Dr. Seuss books. So I think it's fair to say, as Whitney Webb says, when they're trying to ban children's books, the censorship is in full swing. And she's absolutely right, as all of this is being strictly enforced by law enforcement officers that are following a lot of the decrees by politicians without questioning them, as seen here, spending their time organizing TikTok dancing routines in the United Kingdom, where some police precincts have announced that they are too busy to investigate some crimes. But just a few weeks ago, if you decided to go on a walk in nature by yourself, they literally sent in helicopters to police you, fine you, and in some instances even throw you in jail for, of course, being outside. This, along with, of course, the larger troubling news with the latest announcement that the National Guard troops will now be remaining for 2 more months at the Capitol, should be concerning since, of course, it's absolutely ridiculous. Previously, we covered a story about how the National Guard troops were mobilizing, how there was significant threats, there was going to be major protests and actions happening at the Capitol today, and as we've been telling you, all of that was a bunch of bull crap, and it is. Nothing happened today, just like we said it wouldn't happen today. What you're seeing is just security theater provided in a way to keep the fear, to keep the panic, to keep making people understand with a larger virtue signal, hey, we're in power, and we got all the guys with weapons who will protect us, which essentially is a sign of insecurity and an unstable administration that, according to many, isn't even really there. Their racket of authority lies on us believing in it, and of course it's predominantly only the mainstream media that in many instances allows them to be in power. Mainstream media that, of course, is extremely duplicitous, hypocritical, and will, of course, sell out to the highest bidder, as presented perfectly by this Slate article that feared, of course, Justice Brett Kavanaugh, but says now that it's maybe a good idea that Andrew Cuomo is still governor of New York. Yeah, they're definitely lacking a lot of principles, morals, and virtues, which of course are very rare traits as of right now, as independent media is being screwed over, de-incentivized, demonetized, downranked in the algorithm, so you don't see content that actually questions the narrative, the establishment, the lies, the hypocrisy, but of course promotes them and their special interest talking points that of course benefit the very few. That's why, as an independent media organization, we rely on your support. I started to do videos just for sponsors, just for 50 cents a day on lukeuncensored.com, but we also work with different companies that I personally like, that I personally use, and one of them, believe it or not, is the Conspiracy board game. Yes, I can't believe I'm actually doing this myself. They just got in a new order of their full trivia board games, which are pretty fun to play. They randomly just sent me a sample. I started playing the board game at the Beanie Castle. Not all of the questions were on point, but the game was still very stimulating, was very fun. I enjoyed it, and we ended up playing it a number of times, which was really fun. And if you're looking for an excuse to get away from the blue lights emitting from television screens or your cell phones, well, check out the Conspiracy Theory game. I like them. I think you will too. Click the link down below to check out more information about them and where to purchase their board games. Now, very interestingly today, along with the larger talking points that we've been seeing for years now, we have seen The Guardian release an article that was titled, quote, "Global lockdown every 2 years needed to meet Paris CO2 goals study." In a scathing article that was promoting global lockdowns every 2 years to, of course, combat and fight climate change. And after a massive backlash, they changed that title, and it is now equivalent of sickness emissions drop needed every 2 years dash study. Yeah, that's a big difference. Amongst the titles. Now, very importantly, it's important to note here that this is going along with bigger talking points promoted by the World Economic Forum, by individuals like Bill Gates, which I'm wearing on my shirt today, which you could get exclusively on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. Sorry. Cheap plug, I know, but worth noting. We have seen Forbes run with a very similar article today that is titled, Report, World Needs Equivalent of Lockdowns Every 2 Years to Meet Paris Carbon Emissions Goals. We have seen similar measures being promoted by, of course, CNN, that is highlighting doctors telling Americans to continue to wear masks and to social distance, to now beat the influenza and the flu, especially with the numbers of the 2020 sickness going dramatically down. Now, there's still a lot of government officials in the CDC fear-mongering about a mutant strain that, again, we don't know the extent of how it will affect us yet, but I think it's fair to say that with the dramatic decline of hospitalizations, cases, and deaths, along with some medical professionals saying that we're going to be done with this soon, is bringing out a lot of globalists that benefited from this sickness, that benefited from the lockdowns, to call for more of them. As it's pretty clear, when you stop mom and pop shops, when you stop small stores from operating and only allow the biggest box stores, Amazon, Walmart, and other huge corporations that have ties to the American government to operate, obviously you're going to see a clear transfer of wealth, which was dramatically happening last year, still continues to happen right now, as of course there's going to be some larger economic devastation that we're going to be talking about in just a little bit with its larger ramifications. But back to this Guardian article, which again is definitely sensational and inaccurate in many ways. It is definitely a fine example of just absolute fear-mongering. Hyping, of course, alarmist climate change warnings, which we're going to tell you in a little bit why they're absolutely wrong about. But this is also the same outlet that has been promoting very crazy theories that millions of people are going to die, and it's a theory that they're literally running with, which of course should be questioned, and we should be asking for some evidence of those larger claims that The Guardian has previously made before. But the study that The Guardian ran with is by, of course, Nature Journal, and it was done by a team of researchers at the University of East Anglia that looked into CO2 emissions and concluded that they needed to drop the same amount as they have during the, quote, roughly 2 years. The study never mentioned lockdowns or the larger effects of lockdowns. The study never advocated for lockdowns to achieve any of this, and The Guardian just totally misled everyone with its editorializing, which again doesn't help this situation that all of us are in, and they realized it, and they had to change the title, making sure no one would notice, but we of course did. Now, one of the other things that we've been saying during the lockdowns of 2020 is that there have been many climate change alarmists that have been calling for similar lockdown measures even before this sickness in order to deal with the quote environment. Even before 2020, there was individuals that were advocating for lockdowns, telling you not to eat red meat, telling you not to drive cars, telling you not to travel as much, by many top-line institutions and organizations calling for this. Now, obviously, they weren't able to get this up until 2020. So now it shouldn't be surprising that many people are coming out of the woodwork saying that maybe we should continue these lockdowns to do what we originally wanted to do, which also, by the way, very conveniently benefits the billionaire class and screws everyone else over. As, of course, the quality of life in the United States has gone down in the toilet, as well as other countries and places that have severely locked down, where, of course, poverty has increased, the mental health crisis has increased, way in quality of life has absolutely dramatically gone down to the point where, of course, many people expected a big baby boom during this period where people are locked down, stuck inside together, and birth rates have actually gone down. They continue to go down, and they continue to sharply decline as they have throughout the years, as of course fertility is going down dramatically. Male and female reproductive organs are becoming weaker and weaker, and some people estimate that if this continues, just in a few decades, the population of the entire world might be infertile. Also, a byproduct of the lockdowns is, of course, a massive spike in children's depression, their mental health going down, incidents of self-harm, and children ending their existence on this planet is also dramatically going down. And as children are doing that and less of them are being born, this goes along with, of course, population reduction, which many billionaires have advocated for. Billionaires like Ted Turner, Prince Philip, and of course Bill Gates, and other very prominent individuals that have been saying that we need to decline the world's population in order to help out the planet. Another factor of the lockdowns that some elements of the mainstream media want to continue, that billionaires want to continue, is the larger economic ramifications that, of course, are going to have a tsunami effect on our social, political establishment life, as the United States just reached over $28 trillion in national debt. Yes, that is about $84,832 per citizen, close to $250,000 per taxpayer. Yes, the United States, even though you're not hearing about this in many other places, has just reached $28 trillion in national debt, as of course it plans on spending more trillions of dollars on absolutely wasteful spending bills that, of course, very few dollars go towards the American people or helping them in any way, shape, or form during this hard time that's been brought on not by a sickness, but by the government locking them down, restricting economic flow, destroying their businesses, while, of course, their friends, their buddies at Amazon and Walmart were allowed to be open. Do you see kind of the overall trend of what's kind of happening here? Do you see the traps being laid out for humanity all around you? Yeah, it's not promising, especially with this economic turmoil talk being met with talks of the Great Reset by the World Economic Forum that has instituted talking points like Build Back Better that have been puppeteered by, of course, Joe Biden, many European governments that talk about how they want to, quote, redefine capitalism, and more other baseless generic language that absolutely means nothing. Now, it's also very interesting to see this kind of coincide with some baseless establishment attacks on things like cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin by individuals like Janet Yellen and other globalist elites like Bill Gates that came out and attacked it based off lies, with Bill Gates coming out recently saying that we could do without Bitcoin because some criminals use it. He also came out and said that Bitcoin uses more electricity than any other method known to mankind. And he's absolutely wrong, especially if you look at the larger carbon footprint of Bitcoin compared to networks and user devices, data centers, watching YouTube videos and gaming. Yeah, they don't compare. But now the billionaire who's known for his ruthless tactics previously before is lecturing you about how Bitcoin is using too much energy and it needs to stop, as of course he, along with his other globalist cohorts, keep congratulating China on what well of a job they did with the sickness in 2020. The same China that is now making it mandatory to insert a 3-inch swab up your you-know-what where the sun doesn't shine to all foreigners entering the country, which again, we've been telling you, this is the new norm. This is the new norm. We've been saying this for years, months, and weeks. Here it is. It's only going to expand from here. This is also, by the way, a larger DNA harvesting operation as well. But as China becomes the new hub of billionaires and enables more billionaires than any other country in the world right now, we have to understand that this is only predominantly possible because of the lies, because of the propaganda, because of people believing that them somehow not working, not making money, not having any business is somehow a good thing, and it's not. And that's ridiculous. There's even a poll in the United Kingdom that I'm finding very hard to believe, highlighting how there's actually some people that will be missing aspects of the lockdown, which reminds me of just a perfect example of Stockholm Syndrome, as of course you stop living your life and the billionaire class gets to do whatever they want on a grand scale that we can't even imagine. They're able to continue their businesses. They're able to make money. They're able to socially gather inside of Costco, inside of Walmart. They're able to have an Amazon warehouse where workers are forced to pee in bottles. But you and your small corner shop store, nope. When the police are done with their TikTok videos, they're coming down right now to you to end you and the possibility of you having any financial existence in this new day and age. So yeah, that's bullcrap. I don't believe in that. And if you don't believe in that, share this video with your friends, family members, strangers. Go into your private DMs. Just use this little wheel here on this mouse. Slide on down. Randomly click on someone and double click the link in this video. Send it to them. Let me know what they tell you in response. Tell me down in the comment section below. Yeah, when you really start paying attention and seeing what's going on here, the larger trends, the larger kind of disinformation psyops that are being played against you, it's not a pretty picture, but you understanding them helps you not being caught up in this larger web. I have more to say about this topic that I'm going to be talking about on lukeuncensored.com. Check that out for 50 cents a day. It really means a lot that you do. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.